New autumn edition of the Price Predictor Index, which we published this week, shows that there are a lot of growth markets happening right across Australia right now, and this runs contrary to the general media rhetoric of prices falling across the nation. What we've discovered with this latest quarterly edition of the Price Predictor Index, where we do a town-by-town, suburb-by-suburb analysis right across the country, is that in many jurisdictions around Australia, the majority of locations have prices higher than 12 months ago. In other words, prices are rising in more locations in Australia than there are prices falling. Primarily, the trend of falling prices is confined to Sydney and Melbourne, but not all of Sydney and Melbourne, as I'll show in a moment. But just looking at some of the other jurisdictions around the country, in Adelaide, for example, our suburb-by-suburb analysis for this report shows that 74% of suburbs have median prices higher than 12 months ago. In Brisbane, 68% of suburbs have higher prices. In Hobart, it's almost 100%. When we look at regional Australia, where many of the strongest markets currently reside, 89% of locations in regional Victoria have rising prices. 85% of locations in regional New South Wales have rising prices right now, which is very contrary to the trend in their capital city, Sydney. Almost 100% in regional Tasmania. In Queensland, where there are increasingly rising markets, 65% of locations right now have prices on the up, and only 35% of prices down. Even in a city like Perth, where our media keeps telling us prices are still down in Perth, but when you analyse Perth suburb by suburb, we find that 40% of Perth suburbs now have median prices higher than 12 months ago. Now, even in Sydney and Melbourne, the story is not as clear-cut as media would have us believe. In Sydney, 23% of suburban markets have prices up rather than down, which means obviously that the majority of suburbs have prices down, but it's surprising to learn that almost 100 suburbs in Sydney have prices higher than they were 12 months ago, contrary to the media coverage that we're receiving on an almost daily basis. Now, another trend in Sydney is that there are many markets many suburbs where the median house price is down, but the median apartment price is up. In fact, there are 44 suburbs that fit that criteria in Sydney right now. In Melbourne, the unit market also is doing much better than the housing market. Our suburb-by-suburb analysis in Melbourne shows that 36% of suburbs have prices higher than a year ago, which means most are down. But in the unit market, the majority of suburbs with unit markets have prices higher than a year ago. 57%, in fact, of suburbs with substantial apartment markets have median prices higher than 12 months ago. The other thing that we do with the Price Predictor Index is that we look at the trend with sales activity, because that's often a precursor to trends on prices. If sales activity is rising, all other things being equal, we're going to see prices following suit, but with a time lag, and it works in the other way as well. In the other direction, when sales activity, which means buyer demand, is falling away, we're likely to see price growth stop or prices start to fall. So all of that's included in this new autumn edition of the Price Predictor Index for all the capital cities and all the regional markets across the states and territories. We've analysed every substantial town or suburban market, looking at the sales activity trends and the price trends, and it's all in that report. It's probably the best of our products. We think it's certainly the most popular of our products, and we think it's also unique because no one else is producing a report like this one. So get yourself a copy and read it, and you'll be truly informed about what's going on in property markets across Australia. That's it for now. Ryder signing off. Talk to you again soon.